Hello again. Okay, so on my last solo episode of this month, I talked about saying yes to the parts of you who believe or that believe. And what I want to talk to you about in this episode is how to take steps toward gaining that belief, growing your belief in yourself, and being able to grow. And so I'm just going to give you a few tangible steps and some tools that have helped me build my belief in myself because I know I keep saying this. I say it on Instagram, like I say it everywhere. And it almost brings tears to my eyes because I am not the same person that I was last October. I am not the same woman, not the same girl. Nothing is the same. And what is really cool when you start to believe in yourself is you can feel it. Like, I have never felt so strongly that my goals are possible as I do this year. I feel it so deep in my core, so deep. Like, I feel it within myself. My whole energy of my entire being has shifted. And the one tool that helped me do that has been breath work. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey. So, I got pregnant at 19. Okay, I was 18. My husband always has to be like, "You're 18." It was like a month and a half before my 19th birthday. I held on to this belief that I was now a teen pregnancy statistic and I was not going to be successful. I was not going to be able to do the things that I wanted to do and all of that stuff. And one day I was sitting on the floor in the living room and I remember I had two babies. My second baby was really hard. I will say that my first baby was pretty easy and that was like a godsend, but my second baby, she was really hard. She cried a lot. She was needy. Like she just was hard. And I remember sitting there thinking we were living paycheck to paycheck. Both of us were working. And I just kept thinking this cannot be all there is to life. And I was just pissed. I was pissed and I finally just said, no more. I'm done. I will not do this anymore. Like, no more. And I remember one year for Christmas, my Nana gave me a journal. And inside that journal, she tucked a magazine article. And the magazine article talked about the mental benefits of journaling. And in that moment of being pissed off at life and having these crying babies, and it was more like a crying toddler and baby. So they were 3 years apart. But that thought popped into my head, find your journal. Find your journal. And I found that journal and I finally read that damn magazine article. I'll tell you, I read the headline when she first gave it to me, but I was not very old when she gave it to me. I was probably, I had to have been around 7 or 8. And yes, I was one of those weird kids that like that journal did not get thrown away, did not get left behind. It came with me. Like through all of our moves, it was always with me. And I did write in that journal when I was little, but it was just like your typical random kid things. I pulled that journal back out, partially written in, and I read that full magazine article. And it talked about the benefits that it has on your mental state and how it can change a lot of things for you. So that's where I started. I started journaling. And that led me to finding podcasts, and that led me to finding audiobooks. And then eventually, years and years down the road, which now at this point, I'm trying to think, it's 2023, I probably hired my first business coach, which was Kylie. She's great. I hired her just a couple of years ago. And that is when everything changed. After 8 years of struggling in my business, 8 years of struggling in my life, thinking I was never going to get there, I hired her as my coach. And that is when things got better. They really took off in my photography business, but I was so burnt out. I didn't want to continue with that. Like things were pivoting and shifting in my life and within myself that I wanted to change it. And that's when coaching came in. I adore coaching women on making money, believing in yourself, building a business with kids in tow because I did it with 3 and then 4 when we had our fourth. Like I started when we only had 2 kids and well, 1 kid. I took my first photography class when we still just had 1 and then 2, 3, 4, right? So like I built a business while growing our family as well. And it wasn't until 2022 So last year that I hired another coach, Samantha Siffring, I jumped into her program. Like I had found her at the beginning of that year. I had followed her. I had hopped on a lot of her free trainings that she was doing, and I did all of that, and I finally hired her. And she gave the most amazing analogy that I still use. And it is, you are at one end of the street and you're trying to get to this other end of the street that has this big beautiful home in this cul-de-sac that you're wanting to move into, and the trash bags are all over the road. And what these trash bags are the obstacles that you need to remove to get there. And some people have more trash bags than others. And that is why some people, it happens really quickly. Other people, it seems like it takes a little while. I just kept telling myself, because then I created this new story in my head. I'm like, okay, I have these trash bags I need to remove. And I know some of it's like mindset. Money mindset was a huge thing for me to get over. Um, and I was still hanging on to that old story of like, oh, I'm a teen pregnancy statistic. Like, I shouldn't be successful. And then my mom was a single mom and she worked 3 jobs. And so then I held on to this belief that like making money is hard. And it was just like all of these trash bags piling up and piling up and piling up, that I created this new story. Well, I just have more trash bags than other people. And so I just kept telling myself that, and I kept like residing in that and living in that, and then using that as my excuse as to why I wasn't doing the work and getting where I wanted to go, when really, yes, I may have had more trash bags than other people, but now I was clinging to that story, but I still hadn't resolved any of the old stories. And what I didn't realize was a lot of the old stories, we can change things mentally, right? We can wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm going to choose my thought today. But sometimes we forget we have a body. And this body that we're in hangs on to stories, hangs on to belief. It likes to be comfortable, just like our brain. And so if we don't find a way to release the stories that our body has held on to, the trauma our body is hanging on to, it's going to override our mind. It's going to override the thoughts we're trying to shift, and it's going to keep us stuck right where we're at. What I came to realize toward the end of 22 was I needed to heal somatically. And by me, this is like the interesting thing is if you look back at your journey, by me jumping into the Mama to CEO program and then jumping into, because I was like, oh, I want to put myself in the room of my ideal client, right? And so I jumped into this other mastermind without doing very much research on it. It ended up being horrible. And the coach was terrible. And I was not the only one struggling, because then I went through the whole thing of like, well, is this just me? And there were a whole bunch of other people in there as well, struggling. The coach was brushing them off, telling us to Google stuff, telling me to hire a mindset coach for an additional fee, like all of these things. And it really triggered me horribly. And it brought up a lot. I was physically ill. I was not sleeping. I mean, it was a rough 2 months in that mastermind. I quit going to the calls. I completely separated myself from it. But what I struggled with was how much money I had spent on it. I hadn't healed my shit. And then that mastermind brought it all up, and it brought it up in a big, big way. Like, big way. Physically ill. Like, I mean, big way. So I got out of that. And of course, like no refunds. Like even though I reached out 3 days in, I ended up, she pressured me into staying, and I tried for like another month. I was really trying. I was asking questions, and then finally she was like, okay, like you can just leave, but I'm not refunding you the thousands of dollars that you've already invested, even though you're not going to finish out the program. So that part was what triggered me, was the money around it and the money that I had spent. And so I was really living in this scarcity and fear. And now I have physical symptoms. I heard from Mama to CEO, Samantha Siffring. She began talking about this other program that she had done called Trauma and Somatics. Now, I have not looked into the somatic side of healing very much, and I heard her talking about it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this program. I want to be a trauma informed coach anyways, because we don't want to re-trigger people the way that I got re-triggered, like in that mastermind with that coach. And there was a lot that went on behind the scenes as well. Like, and I just don't feel like I need to spew that all, but there was a lot there. And it basically re-traumatized me around money. Money had always been a sore point for me. It was a sore point in my home growing up. And then when my mom and dad got divorced, like it was another sore point, like just everything, right? But I needed that experience to bring that up, to then be receptive to hearing what Samantha had to say about trauma and somatics. So then I jumped into the trauma and somatics program, and it opened my eyes to a lot. Being a trauma informed coach feels amazing, first of all, because I don't ever want to put anybody in that situation where they feel that way. And we can trigger people simply by what we say. And of course, I'm not going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect with what they say. And yes, people are still going to get triggered by some things that I say. That's just like the nature of the beast. It is what it is. That's just humans. Going through that program was amazing. And then I ended up deciding, so there was this retreat called the Rising Motherhood Retreat. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to go to a retreat. I've been wanting to put on a retreat. Like that had been on my docket for like 2024, somewhere in there. Like it's on my list. But I'm like, I've never been to a full on in-person retreat. And this one was all about healing motherhood and all of that. And I was like, you know what? This might be a really good thing for me after coming out of that mastermind. Signed up for it. It was in October. And then I go the next few months. I will not hire another coach. Like that is how traumatized I was by that whole experience. I'm not even looking at coaches, not even hiring. I'm going through all of that. October, my dad has an accident. He was hit by a car while going across a crosswalk in his Jazzy. And he ended up passing away 2 weeks later. But the interesting part of that journey is I discovered breathwork the Friday before he passed. And I didn't know if getting certified was the right move for me. I felt like it was a little too woo. Like, I wasn't super familiar with it. But somehow, I don't even know what led me to Sam Skelly's website, the Pause Breathwork website, and why I even booked that call. But I knew I needed to heal in a deeper way. I knew that I couldn't remove all those trash bags through mindset work. I knew it to my core. And I ended up on that call. And when she told me the price, I about shit my pants. But I decided to say yes to the part of me that believed in me. And I decided to go for it, regardless of the circumstance. And holy shit, I cannot tell you the circumstances that we got thrown into after my dad's passing. So I jumped into the program on a Friday. Our kickoff call was Monday. My dad passed away Wednesday. I was registered for this retreat the following Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was like, I'm going. Like, there's a reason I registered for that. There's a reason that this timeline worked out how it worked out. I'm going. So I went to that retreat and we did our very first in-person breathwork session. And I have to tell you, in that session, I got so many answers. And one of them was that 100% breathwork is exactly where I need to be. Because at that point in time, I didn't know the changes I was going to feel right now. The changes that I feel within me right now. I didn't know. But I knew with 100% certainty that that was right where I needed to be. So I stuck it out. And I'm going to tell you, that brought a whole new purpose to watching my dad take his final breath here on this earth, and then going through his home and seeing all of the mindset work that he had been doing, yet knowing He was still blaming himself on his deathbed. He was still living in the same circumstance that he had always been in, with money, especially. So hard for him. With relationships, also, we didn't have the best relationship. It was barely existent. And we had tried, but he could never get past that because he was trying to heal himself through the mind. And now, knowing what I know now, he needed somatic healing. He needed another modality. He needed breath work or any other form of somatic healing to get his trash bags off his street. And that ingrained like this whole new sense of purpose within me. Breathwork has shifted everything for me. I cannot even explain it. I was so resistant to it. I even told the girl on the call, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I don't know what it is. I think this is weird. And she was like, I felt the same way too. She said, the decision is yours, but I will tell you, I am a different person on the other side of it, and you will be too if you allow yourself to be, but you get to decide. And I just have to say, like, I thought I was never going to get anywhere in my life. I thought I was never going to get anywhere in my business. I have been trying so hard, but I've been trying only to heal myself through my mind. I never tried somatic healing. I didn't know about somatic healing. It's been around for ages, thousands of years. It's just barely coming to the surface, right? Taking care of ourselves, yoga, meditation, all of the things. So I chose to believe. I chose to believe in that. And I've dove wholeheartedly into this journey. And I am now offering breath work. And I absolutely adore it. I love seeing people heal. I love seeing people take charge of their lives. And I love seeing them begin to believe in themselves. And if you're looking for a new tool this year, I've got it for you. It's breath work. Try it out. See what it can do for you. Start with journaling. Do a gratitude journal every single day. And then one other tool that I wanted to leave you with today, because I know I got a little long-winded on my breathwork journey. I can't even tell you how I feel right now inside my body. Like, it's just unbelievable. I have a higher belief within myself. Like, I don't know. But one more thing I want to tell you is if you want to start slowly building that confidence and belief in yourself too, do one small thing each day that's going to lead you toward a life that you want. That could be as simple as taking care of yourself and saying, I'm going to go on a 10-minute walk every single day. Okay, maybe that's downloading a breathwork app and saying, okay, I'm going to do a breathwork practice every single morning for 5 minutes. Like, it does not have to be much, but pick one small thing each day and do it. You're going to start to find that your confidence is going to start to grow. Your belief in yourself is going to start to grow. And if you are ready to really dive into your journey, to truly invest in yourself and to make massive changes within your life, to stop holding yourself back, to stop playing small, send me a DM, reach out to me on Instagram, book a clarity call, whatever feels right for you. I am so happy to help. I am so ready to help you get where you want to be because I'm going to tell you it feels freaking amazing. And don't continue to be the person that's like, well, that's easy for her to say. Because I am now the person on the other side of that journey and I cannot even describe to you how that feels. You can change your life. You can have the shittiest of circumstances right now. You can change your life. And how amazing to be that example to your kids. If you sit there and you are hoping for better for your kids, you have to show them that the path is possible. You have to be the example of chasing your dreams even when it's hard. My kids have seen me cry. They've seen me doubt myself. They give me pep talks now. You get to choose to be that example for your kids, and you get to choose to take control of your life, and you get to choose to feel good inside, to believe in yourself, and to make your dream life a reality. I will talk to you next time.